live. We're going to be painting, and guess what? We're actually live this time. This isn't a pre-recording, and today we're going to be doing the 8 figures that come with the Rurik Dawn of Kiev, the board game. So here we go. We got 8 guys. We got Svadopolk, and I did my standard prime them black, prime them dry brush gray, dry brush white, and then I put some white Wraithbone primer on them to kind of fill in the black gaps, much like I did in the last video for Hellboy. If you watch the Hellboy painting video, you'll see how we did that. So I've got all these guys pre-prepped, and all we're doing today is we're going to add a bunch of color on them. So we got 8 guys. We're going to do color. We're going to show you how it's done. And yeah, let's get to doing some colors. Hey, cool, Best of Star Treks here. You're gonna see it live. Yeah, we're just screwing around on a Saturday, and we are going to get this stuff painted. So first thing I want to do is figure out what colors do I need this guy to be. Well, I definitely need flesh for his face and hands. I need black for his beard. I need silver and wood for his axe, and it looks like his clothes are purple with a this chest piece, and these shoulder pieces are silver. So so yeah, let's figure out how to. So let's going to start with the flesh. So for using flesh, I'm going to use my standard Guilliman flesh. I'm not sure why my yeah, there you go. So Guilliman flesh is our standard paint color for flesh. We're going to just paint this guy up. I really made his, I don't know why, there's some crazy something on the lens here. All right, I really made, you'll see that we left a lot of shadows in the clothes and stuff, but we left his face. Let's see if I can see a little bit more with that guy, I guess. His face and his hair, I really went heavy on the Wraithbone because, you know, human faces are normally not so shadowy. You normally don't have a lot of shadows in a human face. So what we're going to do is just take the... Yes, Ted's here. Yes, it's actually live. Can you believe it? All right, so here we go. We're going to get some flesh color on this guy. Now, it's weird because he's got a beard, so really we just want to get the mouth and the eyes and kind of the forehead. And that should give us this. This flesh color is really my go-to human flesh color. I have a flesh layer paint that I put on top of these things to make them look even more highlighted. But this is sort of the darker color, so I'm okay to put it on a little bit heavier than normal. Right? So that's his mouth, his eyes, and his sort of forehead here. And the rest is going to be black hair. Now, underneath his beard, I figured you can see maybe some of the skin under there. So I'm just going to put a little dab of flesh under his skin here. And we'll see what happens. That's probably going to get covered up by darker stuff anyway later. So there you have it. I'm going to now go to the black. And for black, we use our Black Templar. And yeah, I'm just going to do his hair. Like I mentioned in other videos, the very dark colors like black and they're very stainy. So you want to be really careful. Maybe you want to do these first, so that way you're ensuring that you hit the areas that you want. Because if you get this on anything else than what you want, it's definitely gonna color up any color that that's already on here. All right, so these guys with beards are a pain in the ass, but ultimately they look cool when you finally get them painted pretty well. Right, he's got a manly beard for men, and I can already see that I didn't get flesh on the ear, so I might go back and do some flesh on that ear really quick. But again, for me, we're just trying to get it to the table, so we just want to get enough that you get the illusion of it. You don't want to spend too much time on it. I mean, I could literally just spend all day trying to get the perfect coverage. But why bother, you know? Really, your eye is only going to see so much anyway, so it's really, you don't want things to stand out more than you need to stay exactly in the lines. So as long as you just have it something that gives the illusion that it's straight, you should be cool. All right, I'm not even just going to cover that up. He's got hair. He's got black lumberjack hair. He's ready to go. So yeah, this Rurik game, I guess, is somewhat historical about the creation of Russia and Kiev and the Kievan Rus. And so these are, it's very much, I was telling Diana, it's like Succession. Like Vlad, these are all Vlad's kids basically fighting for who's going to rule Russia at the end. And that's what the game is. You're basically play one of Vlad's kids trying to see who's going to rule Russia at the end. All right, cool. So that is his face for now. We'll come back and put some flesh on top of that, but I really just wanted to make sure the hair worked out okay. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make this axe silver. And we know that when we put silver on stuff, we definitely want to put silver on a darker color. So I might as well just paint this axe black too. Just the axe. The handle is going to be wood colored. So we just want to make sure the wood color comes through. Again, we're just trying to paint this as quick as we can, because I got 8 of these guys to do, and I like to try to not spend more than an hour or two to get it going. All right, so that'll be that. One thing I forgot too with the flesh is I got to put the flesh on his hands. Let's go back to our flesh color. I got to remember, they all have face and hands. All right. It's a nice, relaxing Saturday afternoon. Best at Star Trek's in his garage, maybe. Ted's just hanging out. We're having a good time. Painting figures, getting ready for Friday's game session. Get these guys to the table. All right, sounds good, looks good. Next thing we want to do now is he's got like a cape, and his cape is red with like a whitish kind of fur. So let's go to our red. Again, I like to get the darker colors. Normally I go lighter to darker, but this case, when you have a lot of darker colors that you need to be specific with, I definitely want to get them on first so I know if I don't screw up or not. So this is Blood Angels red. This is my standard red. It's really bright red, and it definitely stains a lot, so we want to be careful with it. So what we want to do is his entire cape here and the cape here is all going to be red. So let's just make it red. And just want to be careful around the hair that I just did, because that black is probably not dry. So if I end up touching any of this black, my red is going to turn black. And we don't want that to happen. You don't want to smear things. The cool part with this is what I love about these contrast paints is that they are, as long as you put them on pretty light, they're still going to preserve the shadows you have built underneath. And it really looks cool. The camera really doesn't do it justice as far as the highlights that you can get and the textures. It actually looks like a heavy cloth, or, one of those all these older clothing, I always imagine they just have giant curtains and they rip the curtains off the walls, and you know, those big like kingly heavy curtains. That's what this feels like, the texture feels like. So that's why it's good to have the texture with the with our two-tone priming system. Now, after this, I also have to get the Marvel United painted. And with the Marvel United, I don't think I'm going to do the two-tone because I did my first Marvel United in the two-tone method. And it made some cool shadows and stuff. But, you know, ultimately, those things are very cartoony looking. And anything cartoony looking, you don't really want a lot of texture. You want it to be very smooth. So I kind of want it all to be one big smooth color. So I'm actually just going to prime those with straight up Wraithbone and see what happens. So that'll be fun. It'll be a different method, different way to do things. And you can see I'm just trying to, even though I don't want to put a lot on, I definitely want it to be smooth. I think my finger touched one of that area, so I just want to make sure that I don't have any splotches or areas of pooling. So I just like to keep it smooth. See that? Pretty easy. Let's just do some more on this side. Oh, Ted says, unfortunately, cannot stay much longer. Has to get ready to take wife out for an early supper. ZZ Top concert? What? That's awesome. Although, you know, it's probably not the same with, what's his name, not being with us anymore. But I'm jealous. I wish I could have seen ZZ Top in concert. I don't think that's the one I had. I don't think I've actually seen ZZ Top. So that's a good one. Definitely, I would go to a ZZ Top concert than watch me paint figures any day of the week. So I'm not offended if you have to leave, Ted. And actually, I'm not offended if I'm just surprised anyone actually wants to watch this. But, you know, I got to get it done. Might as well turn on the camera. We got cameras. Might as well do it, right? Then you guys can see how the sausage is made. Oh, and that sounds like rain outside. So it is raining in New York City. All right, that's that cape. We got a little inside this area. That's cool. Dun, dun, dun. And I think that is all the cape goodness. Cape. Sounds good. Looks good. We're on to the next one. So I think the next thing we should do is his clothes. He's got this purple for his clothes. So let's go ahead and get purple clothes out in the world. For purple, we use I have a dark purple, but I think I like to keep these colors pretty light. So we're going to do this Magos purple. Whoa, Ted's got second row seats to ZZ Top. That's pretty awesome. All right, so here's the only thing we need to worry about. I think his purple is just on his arms here. He's got like bracers, so it's really just these arm areas, right? So it's like he's got a shirt. He's got a shirt, and then he's wearing a shirt, and then he's got bracers on top of the shirt. Okay, so he's got a purple shirt. And this is also purple. Purple shirt, purple shirt. All right. And then, you know, there is I think maybe I may have made a mistake, and this area under is not open. That might actually be purple shirts. Let me put some purple on here just to make it a purple shirt. Wow, it is a torrential rainstorm out there now. All right, and then he's got purple pants also, it looks like. But actually you can see here, it looks like it's more like a purple skirt. And then his legs are actually brown. So we're going to look at, I see. So it's this is the skirt. I get it. So this is his like skirt here. Right. So this is all kind of purple skirt he's got going on. All right, got it. And then there's some, like he's got a knife right here. So this knife will paint brown. So I'm not worried about it being purple on top right now. I think then this is also purple here. And this is the purple skirt. Under there. All right, he's got purple skirt. He's got purple stuff. This is all going to be chainmail, so we're going to make this gray. And we're going to make these bracers gray. And we're going to put brown on there and brown on his legs. So for his legs, brown. It's we're going to use something that's sort of, I'm going to use our Agaros Dunes. Agaros Dunes is our normal, I like to call it, and we got a really bad thunderstorm here in New York City. So if I lose power, then we're going to stop this stream. But until such time, we are going to keep going. All right. Hey, Steph is here. So Agaros Dunes, we're going to give him some Agaros Dunes legs, like so. We might want to have a darker brown, but this is a good way to start. Just slap it on. Pretty horrible color scheme, actually. This purple. All right, so all right, there's Agaros Dunes for his brown legs. It might need to be even more brownish, so we might actually put some fur on that. Let me see what happens. The other thing is, it looks like his cape has red that comes over the shoulders, so there might be some red coming down here that we want to do also. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put gray on the chainmail, because that's my chainmail trick. Anytime you have chainmail or armor that is not plate armor, we're going to use good old basilicum gray. And I use these so much, the names get all screwy. And we're just going to put gray areas on this chainmail, because we're going to brush this with silver. And when you put silver on this gray, it really looks like chainmail. It's pretty cool. It's sort of like a wash almost. I used to use black, and black is great if you want it to look like solid steel, because then there's no like highlights left. But with this gray, it's great because you still preserve some highlights, but it's still dark enough that the silver can cling on to it. You definitely want the silver to have something to cling to. All right, so that's our bracers and our chainmail. Got a little bit of gray, and that's going to be ready to get some silver and gold on there. All right, and oh, we're going to put gray on these rocks down here too. He's standing on like a rock, so let's just make these rocks actually look rock colored. And all it's doing is really kind of toning down these highlights so they don't actually look like super duper rocks. All right, so now we're going to go back to the red really quick. This is going to be a little bit surgical, but I think it'll be worth it in the end. for us to clean this up. And we're going to put, we think that the cape comes down like so. So I want to put some red there. And maybe some red, just a dot of red here to give you the illusion that the cape is coming over the shoulder. All right, and then let's make that kind of come through. And just like that, we got a guy with a purple shirt and almost a chainmail coming and a cape. So now his little faux collar thing here, we just want to tone down that white a little bit, but we want to give it a little bit of color. So I think the color that will work best for that is my good old skeleton horde. Steph says she needs to feed her teenage granddaughter, just turned 13. Whoa. Thanks, Steph, for watching. I was just going to pre-record this, but I said, what the hell, let's just do it. Because we got to get it over with. So I'm just going to put this on here to give it a little bit of, not, so it doesn't look snow white. It's still like an off-white. So it looks like it may have come from an animal, maybe. Like an animal pelt or something like that. I guess that's the idea behind it. All right, and these colors might work on paper. They really don't look very good together. I think the purple is what's throwing this whole thing off. But again, I don't think we really care so much. I forgot to put some gray on that shoulder. Let me get some gray on the shoulder. And you're seeing my speed paint process. It's just like, how fast can we get colors on these guys? All right, so we're just going to put some more gray over here. Now, ultimately, and this is the trick with any of the, when I do metal, if I have these grays and these blacks, you really got to wait for them to fully dry before you start dry brushing on top of them. So it's just something to, if I know I'm going to put down a metal, I know I'm going to want to do the blacks and grays first. So that way, by the time I'm done doing all the color, it will be dry, and then I can do the dry brushing stuff. All right, so let's quickly do the Gore Grunt of Fur is our standard brown. Anytime you need a really deep brown, like a wood color, we use Gore Grunt of Fur, and that's going to be our, mainly for axe handles and anything wooden. It really comes out cool. If you put on too much, it could end up looking like burnt wood. So you want to be careful how much you put on there, but it's still, it ends up being a very cool wood color. It's also good for fur or for anything that you need a real deep brown. All right, there we go. We got brown axe. We're going to put silver on this axe handle. We're going to put silver on the chainmail. And we're going to put gold on his bracers, even though they're kind of like leathery bracers. I'm going to give him a little shine because that's what we want. All right. Yeah, so this guy is just about done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some lighter colored flesh because his flesh is really kind of dark right now. So we're going to just lighten up that flesh. So I have a layer paint for that. It's called Kislev Flesh. And this is really my finishing flesh color. You definitely want to, it goes on kind of thick, but it is a layer paint, so it will, so what I tend to do is I tend to start on like things that would naturally be highlighted, like the cheeks, maybe the forehead, maybe the nose, maybe the ears. Right, and just kind of lightens up the flesh color, because the contrast paints can get really kind of dark. The flesh can get really dark. It gets that burnt look, like I mentioned, and you don't want, like if it's a really rough and dirty fighter guy, then you don't really mind it being so rough. But most of these guys they're princes and, you know, floofy warriors. They're not real warriors. All right, so there we have it. We got he's got black hair, he's got flesh, he's got arms, he's got an axe, his little cape is painted with trim, he's got brown boots, he's got purple everywhere, and now we just need to put the silver on. Oh, right, his knife scabbard has some brown there. So let's go back to our brown. For, what are we at? 27 minutes on this guy? Man, I'm spending way too much. Well, I'm explaining too much. I'm going to go faster on the other guys. Here we go. So brown goes here, brown goes here, brown goes here, brown scabbard. All right, that's cool. And then I'm going to go back to my black. That knife handle should be black because it'll be silver when we put the silver on it. So let's go back to our Black Templar. And, yep, just this handle gets some black. All right, then he's got something over here too that's too bright, so we want to tone that down. I think in general, this just above the skirt is a kind of a metally area, so we're going to make sure that's darker. So when we put the silver on it, it's gonna pop out. All right, cool. I think he's ready to go, except for silver. All right. Let's see if this is dry enough for the silver to be put on. I might want to wait a little bit to get that silver on there. Oh, you know what? He's also got a band on his head. It's almost like a crown or something. So we might want to paint. I'm going to use a really teeny tiny brush. I was like, why does he have a bump on his head? He doesn't have a bump. It's a crown. So we just want to do something like that. And then we can just put gold on top of that, and that'll be his golden crown. All right, cool. Well, talking about gold, let's do it. First things first, we are going to use our wonderful Rurik armor gold. Actually, you know what? This is too gold for us. I think we're going to use, I really like to use this Gehenna's gold. Again, gold is like it almost looks like a brass, like it's definitely a deeper color. And we're going to, what are you doing? Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put some of this on these bracers. I'm just going to kind of dry brush it like this, just like slowly. I don't want to glop it on. It's almost like a dry brush, but it's not really. It's more just to get the color on there. Yeah, and it's just like a smearing motion almost, and that'll make the. You see, the key is you want to keep the shadows, so you don't want this to cover or fill in any of the shadows you might already have. But you definitely want it to be shiny, and the only way to be shiny is to actually have some good stuff on there. So yeah, I think that's good for his bracers. And then we're going to, everything else is silver, so let's get our silver out. And what we do for the silver is obviously our Rune Fang steel. It's my go-to for all silver, all your silver needs. Take some Rune Fang steel. All right. We're going to do the axe first. What I like to do is just kind of wipe it on the edges, because that's normally where, the steel really shines through his edges. Just kind of scrape it on, and then I'm going to put a little bit of a thicker coat on the edge. Just to show that it is an axe. So you can see that black is still kind of underneath. It really makes it look like a brushed kind of effect, which is kind of cool. All right, now the second part is we're going to do the chainmail. The chainmail we definitely want to do as a dry brush, so it's very much like a we're scraping it against the mountains, and we don't want it to be in the valleys. You can see that brightens that up right there, so it looks like chainmail. Best chainmail trick in the business. This is also all silvery down here. This is silver handle. And these are some silver tip and some silver hands. All right, and a little bit there that I don't want it, so I'm going to just use my X-Acto knife and smear it off. Yeah, and that makes that come together, because now you can tell he's wearing some kind of chainmail. On top of, now the purple and the red clothing makes sense together because the chainmail ties it all together. All right, cool. I think he is, as we say in the business, done. Maybe I'll put a little bit of silver on the handle of the sax, even though there's not really any. Oh, and then, I forgot. He has this little crown thing. So let's do the crown, and then he's done. This is where I will use some gold. use my teeny tiny brush. I'll just put this on top of his little crown. Can you see that? Yeah. I might have put too much. All right, so we I just want to make sure that it's not getting into the hair. It's the trouble when you get these little like lines of stuff. You want to make sure it goes where you want it to go. And nowhere else. All right, and ultimately it'll just give like a little like shine effect that you'll be like, oh, he's wearing some kind of shiny crown. But ultimately that's it. So that I think is Svelte. Not bad for 30 minutes. Let's get on to the next one because we need to get some dudes going here. All right, let's talk about Boris. So Boris should be easier because he's mostly metal. And he's got a red shield. And he's also got a red cape. So we might as well start with the red. Well, actually, let me start with the flesh. And I'm totally ignoring my other rule that I really should start anywhere I want metal. I should start to make sure that it dries quick enough. So I should really start on the metal side first. But first, we're going to put some flesh down on his face. And on hands. You can see you're just slapping it on. I mean, there's not any, you don't have to worry so much about things not staining the lines because you can always, when you do the lighter stuff, any darker stuff can go right on top. So you don't have to worry about it. Right, so that's the flesh. Let's do the gray first because we want that to dry so we can put silver on top. All right, so this is pretty much all going to be, this gray is all going to be metal. Right, and then this is actually cloth, so we can leave that cloth. It's really just the top. His cap is metal too, so we want to make sure his cap stuff is painted gray because we're going to put silver on top of that, and then that'll really look like he's armored, which is what we want. I'm just making sure that it doesn't pool. You'll notice, I don't know if you can see, but sometimes the contrast paint will get too heavy and it'll pool, and we don't want it to pool, especially since I'm really just using this as a base for my silver. This is going to have silver on top of it. So, all right, cool. And then we're just going to go to red. We're going to give him a red cape and a red shield. All right. Red cape incoming. And I don't mind, I guess, that the shield gets red too, because it is a red shield. does look like wood planks or something, but the color here is definitely red, so you want to make sure you don't get paint on your game components. So take your color references off the table when you're painting. All right, then we got cape done. I like when they don't have a lot of different colors that you need to do, because then they're a lot easier to slap on. Color. All right, and then we're going to do the back side. Again, I don't want to pool it, because then it could end up ruining some of the shadows I already have. Just gonna sometimes there's areas where you don't care about being within the lines, and then there's other areas where you don't want to, especially when you're doing the reds or the darker colors. The darker colors are really stainy, so if you mess up on those, it's really hard to come back. So you want to, when I'm doing this dark color, see me kind of just throwing it around, but I'm still, I like to live dangerously, but I'm living a little too dangerous, because I am starting to get it on other stuff that I don't want. So I got to be careful around the edges. Especially too, your brushes will start to fray, and then you think you're putting it on a spot, but actually the brush will fan out and hit a spot that you don't want, and then you're going to have a bad day. So we just want to make sure that we are getting it where we want it. This guy's almost got like a Superman cape. The red cape comes around here. Just getting it on. That's it. And that's another thing, if you can get it down to, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 colors for the whole model. Even the model might have a bunch of detailed colors, but really you can boil it all down to 2 or 3 primary colors. It'll be a lot faster to get these guys to the table, because you don't have to paint as much. That's the whole point. You want it to look good, you want it to look cool, and what makes it look cool is not a bunch of different colors. It's a bunch of different shadows and textures. So you want to, as long as you have the shadows and textures, the color is not so much important. You're just getting color on there to make it look decent. All right, so there his red cape, his red thing. I got a little red on his boots, which I don't know that I care about. What are his boots? His boots are brown boots, so I do care a little bit about that. So let me just see if I can't scrape that red off here. Because again, red is so dark, it's not really going to be covered by anything. So, and especially if these boots are going to be a lighter brown, they're not going to cover up that red. All right, cool. Now we've got this kind of sash area, and this, and you know what? I'm going to just do it all gray. No, I should have done that from the beginning. The sash is kind of more like a light gray, but we can add a layer paint on that later. But we also don't want to destroy those shadows. So the best way to do that is just make this whole thing gray. His pants are gray too, so I gotta watch out, because I just put the brush in red, and then I started brushing this over, and you see how this all turned red. So you just want to definitely be careful. All right. That's okay, because we can put a layer of paint on top of that. It also makes it a little bit different than the color that's there already. All right, we're going to go back to our brown because these guys have always have belts and pouches and things that makes things pop when you have brown belts and brown patches. For example, this thing right here is brown. So again, we're just using our Agatha fur to give him a little brown thing. It looks like all of these things are probably brown. It's a little knife sheaths or whatever. And yeah, these are definitely brown belts. So we definitely want to get just this. It just helps to break up the colors too. And yeah, it looks like his sword sheath is brown too. So we can put a little brown down there. All right, and then his shoes are brown. I would normally go lighter brown on the shoes, but for these models, I think this color brown is going to look more like leather. I could have done like an Agros Dunes. I think this is more of a, it goes with his red better. If the shoes are too light, then they'll look kind of weird. They'll look like moccasins, like Indian moccasins or something like that. That kind of color. But, you know, you want to try to match the card as much as possible, but also you want to think about what would this actually look like in real life? And is that a realistic kind of shoe that would go with that outfit that he's got going on? All right, so there you go. You got brown boots, gray pants, kind of a gray skirt. These guys love wearing skirts. And then a red shield with a red cape. Now, yeah, we got a sword going on here too, so we're going to want to color that dark. I hate when I forget areas and then I got to come back to it. So let's go back to our gray. All right, we're already taking too long on this. But these figures are so nice that I kind of want to, you know, do them justice. All right, there we go there. I'm going to wait for that to dry, and then we'll just put a silver on that. Okay, one last thing I want to do is I imagine this ornateness on this thing is going to be gold, because red and gold just look great together. I think there's, on the card, it doesn't really show the front of the shield, so we don't really know what's going on there, but for me, my Orc Armor Gold is the best awesome gold color. And normally I just do a dry brush. But in this case, I'll try to be a little bit more kind of putting it where I want it to go, because sometimes when you do a dry brush, it kind of covers the whole model, and it can get to places that you don't want it to go. And really, you just want to kind of highlight these high points, but you really don't want to disrupt the shadows you have going on. So you want to be, so I can just, I'm just looking for little areas that are popping on top, and I'm trying to put gold on them. Yeah, I think this really gives it a little bit of a shine. Makes it look like, you know, something that was actually crafted. Because the underside of this shield does look like wood planks or something, so they probably put like metal on top of wood. So it would make sense that they have some kind of metal gold thing going on here. Let's see what I did. I covered one of the shadows, so that's what I was trying not to do. But it's okay, you know, it's not the end of the world. Just want to try to keep these lines neat so it doesn't look kind of all over the place. And then it's okay if you just kind of brush it on dry brush style. And that'll make it kind of all look goldish. All right, and then it has little rivets around the sides, so we can just kind of loop, loop, loop. And this is the kind of thing that, like, I normally wouldn't do this much detail because if we just want to get it on the table, putting little rivets everywhere is a pain in the ass, right? And then if you glop it on too much, then you can totally have a weird looking thing. You totally don't want to have any areas that distract the eye. It doesn't matter if you mess up. It just matters if you mess up in a way that the eye is going to see it. And normally how that happens is, especially in this thing where you have a uniform amount of dots, if one of the dots is out of place, your eye will pick up on it. And your eye will know. And we don't want to do that. You don't want to give your eye any excuse not to be able to see what's going on. All right, so there's that guy. I'm going to put a little bit red on that area that I messed up. All right, cool. Now let's do our silver, and this guy should be done. Silver it is. All right. First, we'll start with our chainmail. All right, that's it. Silver away. We can do his little helmet. You can see it didn't really take that long for this to dry. The black, I mean, to dry. So then when we put the silver on, it comes right on. You see it's still preserving the shadows and stuff underneath. That is the cell for chainmail or any kind of armor that has holes in it, basically. All right. His what else we got that's metal on here? Well, he's got maybe some little metal dots on his belt. He's got a little metal knife, sword thing. All right, cool. And then his actual sword feels dry, so we can put some silver on there. Okay, I like to do it on the edges. there it is. So that, I believe, is Boris. Good enough for me. On to the next one. Who do we got now? So I think we should do this guy. Yaroslav. This actually, when I looked it up, this guy is the famous guy who actually, if the game is about the kids trying to see who wins, this is the guy that actually wins. Yaroslav the Wise, until he gets usurped by somebody. But he's a wise man. So once again, we're going to start with flesh. Put it on his face. All these guys have beards, which is pain in the butt, but you know, the beards are normally darker colors, so they can go over the flesh pretty easily. So I don't mind putting flesh all over the face, and then I'll put the beard on top of the flesh. All right, so that's beard and hands. And yeah, that's all the flesh. Good job. This thing we know is going to be gold, a golden staff, so we definitely want to make sure that's dark. Otherwise, his shirt and his pants, these are all like white, like a whitish color. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just put a white layer paint on top of this. But first, he's got a red cloak with a gold undercoat. And a red hat. All right, so before I do let's do the red first. All right. Everyone's having fun. First I'll do his red hat. All right, red hat. Okay, he's got a red cape, but only on the back. On the in the inside is gold. So let me go ahead and paint the back red. These guys really like their red capes. It does look like you can actually see a line. So I think this side of the line is gold, and then this side is red. So I think we only want the red inside the line. Yep, keep that inside that line. This is where you got to be a little careful if your brush is frayed. You may want to go outside the line, but you want to keep it inside the line, just like that. All right. Yeah, it's funny how some models are easier to paint. Like those Hellboy models were super easy, but any of these models that I like to call them hero models, they just have some little like iconic details. It's not like just painting a monster skin. Like you actually have to think about some of the where to place the little details, where to keep the little areas where they need to be. You notice I just hit it with my hand because I'm just keeping like a border here open that I can use for the gold, because the whole cape's got a gold trim basically. So we want to make sure we're keeping the gold trim. All right, there's the red cape, goes with the red hat. I'm digging it. And I love all these capes end up looking like Superman capes. Okay, so now we got to think about, yeah, this is still cape. This is cape. And it's going to be gold trim around that cape. And this is cape. This gets shorter. All right. All right, cool. I think we are caped. All right, how are we doing? Doing good. All right, so now let's get a gray out here so we can start figuring out how we want to do the gold. So we're going to go back to our Basilicum Gray. I love how I show you the paint, but the name is so scraped off, it's impossible to actually see what's going on there. All right. We are going to put this on the inside of the cape because we want the inside of the cape to be gold, but we know that gold doesn't stick to white. Gold only sticks to gray or black. So we want to make sure that that is gray or black. I want to get that in there. We definitely want to get this staff to be grayed because that's going to be gold. All right, and then yeah, I think he's, what has he got going on? This is all like white, right? Or kind of gray. It's like a gray dress, basically. Oh, but that's going to be a gold in the middle. So let me go ahead and gray out this middle part. This is like a pendant or something. All right, cool. Let's also get his belt. He's got lots of princely gold going on here, so the belt will be gold. All right, we're gonna get some gold on this guy. It's gonna be pretty sweet. All right, finally, he's got let's use our Morghast bone to do the trim on his hat, because I assume these guys all went to the same tailor, and they all have, if they have a red thing with trim on it, the trim is this kind of more of a brown animal fur color. Is that anything else? Right, it's not like Snow White. It's definitely going to be more of a brown, right? And then his hair is actually brown. So, you know what our go-to is for that? It's going to be fur. And we're just going to put here, getting brown hair. Right? It can be used as wood. It can be used as fur. It can also be used as brown hair. Who knew? It's pretty cool, right? got some brown hair. He's ready to go. All right, so one last thing. I want to color. His pants are a darker color. It looks almost like a dark blue. So why don't we actually give him a dark blue? Dark blue pants coming up. All right, I'm very upset how long I'm taking on these guys, but normally I know when I'm painting models, I'm normally painting models from a game where I know the characters and I can quickly get the color schemes and I know what they should look like. In this case, though, it's like historical figures. I only really have the one reference photo. I don't really know what they should look like. I don't know what we really want to be doing with them. So it's definitely just more time in figuring out which colors are going to work and how to do it. And there's so many different areas to color. Like, for example, this parchment, I probably want to do that in this area, this more Gasbone color to make it look like parchment. Also, it's probably got some gold, something on the edges. Again, we don't want it to pool. We can help it. All right, that looks cool. One last thing, we're going to go back to our gray because the boots are gray. So might as well just make them gray. If they're going to make it easy on me, why do I want to fight it? All right, we're just going to make these gray. Because I did notice that the kind of the tips of the boots also have some gold. So there's a lot of gold this guy's going to get. He's very fancy. He is the wise. So I guess wise men have gold. All right. Oh, and I did forget this gold trim. For it to be gold, it's going to have to... Whoa, did you see that big glop of black I just put on there? That's not good. It's okay, just spread it around. It's just a shadow. It's a new shadow. Be careful how much paint you put on, people. All right, so all I'm doing is making sure that the trim is dark enough that when I put the gold on it, it's going to look cool. I'm really putting it too much on. What is wrong with me? It's Saturday. It's lazy Saturday. That's cool. Once we put the gold on, it'll look fine. Right, I just want to make sure I'm spreading it around because I don't want it to be so gloppy, shiny. When you see these shiny areas, then you know you put too much on. You just want to clean it up a little bit. Clean lines, as they say. All right, I think we're doing good there. He's got some nice... I almost would leave his shirt exactly the way it would be. I might just give it a little bit of a white color, a layer color. Do what I have this. I have this Screaming Skull layer paint. I'm just gonna use this to do like just a little bit of highlights. I think this is already a very similar color, so oh, you know what I think I want to do? Since he's got blue pants, this is actually like a light blue. So I think I just got a brand new color this might be a good fit for. Our brand new color is called Griff Charger Gray. Griff Charger Gray. Totally forgot we had that. We're going to put this on super light. I just got this yesterday. So yeah, I think we just put this on super light. That should give us the effect that we want. Yeah, that's perfect. It just gives it like a blue tinge, but it's still as bright as we want it to be. Wow, that's really cool. Sometimes I'm a genius. And this, my friends, is one of those times. And it helps the color palette go together because now I have basically dark blue pants with a little super light blue shirt. See, that looks much better. Yep. Very cool. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Let me, you can see his cape got a little bit of a smudge here. I think I can just put a little dab of red on there to fix that smudge. Just a little dab. Clean it up. All right, people, we are just about done. Just have to put the gold. He just got sold gold, no silver, so we're just doing gold. And you know, we love the Rurik Armor Gold. All right, here we go. First things first, he's got a necklace thingamajobber. Necklace thingamajobber. Second thing, this is gold. This is basically the start of the gold trim. This is also gold. This is also gold. And this becomes the gold trim that we want. This is the area that we saved. That is to be gold. We can, you know, they make it this big kind of thick line, so you can go it a little bit thick. The key is you want it to be straight. You don't want it to look like you put it on with a crayon or something. You definitely want it to just have some uniformity. And also, you want some of that black to shine through underneath. You don't want it to just look like a giant glob, because at the end of the day, you want to keep the texture, right? So this cape definitely has a cool texture. We're just kind of assuming someone, you know, put some gold stitching on the edge or something, you know? yeah, I think I'm going to play with this guy a lot. He's got a lot of cool stuff going on. All right, now we have to be a little bit careful over here. You can see I do this thing where I put my pinky on the model. That holds my hand. So that way the brush I can have a little bit more control on how to, if you just have your hand like wobbling out here, it could be harder to do. So that's a little trick you could use to help paint these like tight places and keep the brush still, or the direction that you want it to be without getting too janky. All right. We just have this piece to do. And this piece to do. And then we're going to do the inside of the cape. Seems to be all gold, so we might as well just... Now, here's the thing. I want it to kind of look goldish, but I still want the color underneath to come through, so it's almost a dry brush. It's more just like a, yeah. I don't want it to look completely purely silver. So it's more like a dry brush to give it this kind of gold. It's gold, but it's still texture. It's still clothing, right? So it's not like steel. It's golden clothing is what's happening here, right? So golden clothing is not going to reflect as much as steel or metal gold is going to. So I'm going to reflect a little bit, but definitely want to. The point is keep some of the color underneath and just give it a shine. You just want it to kind of shine on the bottom. Yeah, I think that looks really cool. All right, then finally we've got his trim. He's got some gold trim on his skirt. So let's just do this. Just very lightly. It's just kind of like gold leaf almost. Keep those shadows and almost give it like a, just making the clothes a little shiny, that's all. All right, then he's got a belt. And then this thing is definitely kind of gold. Look at that. And then we got his staff, which is definitely a golden staff. All right, totally cool. I like how this one came out for sure. What do we think his sword sheath is? Well, if it's like the others, it's going to be more of a brown, so I'm not really going to worry about that so much. His boots, I forgot, has some gold here. And just try brushing on there. Just giving it like a little silver or gold pop. All right, cool. And then his neck has... Oh, here. All right, cool. I think that's it for him. 3 down in an hour 20. Well, I'm not doing as good with time as we need to, but maybe we'll do one more and then call it a night. How's that sound? So what's the one more we want to do? I think maybe we'll do this person. They got a bird. Birds are cool. And here we go. It's Agatha. Of course, it was Agatha all along. What's Agatha got going on? Well, she's got a bird with a red glove, a blue scarf with an orange and blue dress. All right, pretty easy. So let's get her flesh first. Yeah, no armor here, so it's going to be a little bit more thinking about colors for the dress. Hopefully this will be easier. And that's going to be a glove, so I don't have to worry about that. What I tend to do with the flesh stuff is I pour it on and then I use the brush to sponge it up so it stays in the crevices, but highlights on the areas that I want highlighted. Because again, girls, you don't want them to have too much shadow. All right, cool. That bird is sort of grayish purple. So instead of doing gray, I think it'd be good to, I think it's gonna be good to use that other new color that I got. Griffhound Gray, Griff Charger Gray. Wow, this thing already has a lot of good uses. Who knew I needed Griff Charger Gray in my life? Yeah, just like that. Bird is painted. See, in the past, I would have to put a gray on it and then put a color on it. But Griff Charger Gray's got you covered. That's awesome. Yeah, bird's a little purpley, but I like that gray color better. Looks more like a bird. A hawk or whatever you think. All right, next up, we got a red glove. Let's get a red glove. Yeah, just try to find an order to it. Red glove. All right. Red glove. I forgot a bird foot there, so let me go back to the gray really quick and just put a little foot on the bird. All right. Now let's talk about the dress. We're going to do the orange. So first I'll give her her orange hat. Orange hat incoming. All right, cool. Orange dress. So here's what I see. I see this is orange. There's like a blue stripe down the middle, and this belt is blue. Otherwise, this is orange. All right, this is orange. This is all orange. Looks like some gold trim also. So it's cool. I can put gold on top of orange. The orange is dark enough that the gold will come out. All right, so this side is also orange. There's going to be a light blue in the middle. All right, we got that. Yeah, I wish I knew more about the history of these things. They're really cool. I'm not sure that the book gives you so much. But I know like this, I guess Vlad historically had 2 wives, and so he had kids from one and kids from another, and they were all fighting against each other. So it's interesting to know which one is which and which ones hated each other. Okay, I think that's the orange because this cape is definitely all blue. So yeah, let's go with our normal blue. All right, we're doing it, everybody. For blue, for a big bright blue, I use Talisar blue. Talisar blue really seems to, it's kind of a cartoony color if it's used not the right way, but it's really the lightest blue that I have, and it really ends up looking good on top of whenever I have the darker contrast going. Like I mentioned in some of my other videos, you definitely want to have a lighter contrast paint go on top of the darker areas, because then it'll pop, it'll come out more. The color will actually come out more. All right, what do we got going on here? This is going to be gold. We'll turn that into gold later. So right now we just need to make sure that the cape, we got a blue cape. All right. This is, well, that's orange, I see. So just the inside here is blue. This hand is blue. See, again, this is the trouble. If you don't really know the characters, it's hard to tell where the colors are supposed to go. Now I'm getting it. So this is blue inside here. This is blue here. Right, because this whole cape is blue. But this headpiece is a lighter blue. I think it's the same color as the eagle. So we definitely don't want to go into the headpiece area. And here, I think this also has gold trim, but I'm not so worried about preserving the trim because I'm just going to paint the gold right on top. Probably could have done that with the red, but I wasn't really thinking. It'd be easier to... I try to have a plan of attack when I get these models, that I'm going to use a certain color here or a certain color there. kind of shoes does she have? Oh, the shoes are red. Shoes are red. Oh, and the trim on the bottom is red. Okay. That's good to know. Okay, so let's, I think we're good to do this center still blue. And this goes blue down here. And I don't really care if I go outside the lines because we're going to put gold trim on this, and the gold will make it kind of all come together. All right, just there. I like it. This goes here. Just finish this cape, and we're done with blue. I think this one we can get done pretty quick. All right. You notice I pretty much use one brush for the whole thing. I tend to use like this size 1 brush or size 00 brush. It's this, you want it big enough that you can apply a lot of paint at once, but you also want it thin enough that you can control where the paint goes. So ultimately, you just want to have a brush that's going to be something that's sort of thin at the top, but still thick enough that it'll hold a lot of paint. Okay. All right, cool. Let's go back to the orange really quick, and we're just going to fix this sleeve. Just got a little sleeve here. Piece of cake. Fix the sleeve. All right, and we're going to do the shoes too. Now, I know you're saying, hey, I thought you said the shoes are red. Well, again, that's my red trick. I like to start with orange and then just add red to the orange, and then things are not like super crazy red. All right. One last thing, this headpiece, we're going to do the same color as the eagle, our brand new color, which I'm loving more and more every day. I think this is going to be in my rotation a lot, the Griff Charger Gray, because it's really hard to find. Like this blue that I have right here is really the lightest blue that I have right now in my contrast arsenal. So it is nice to have a bluish color that it is not so bright. Just make it, and it is more, it's closer to gray, but it's like a gray with a blue tone. It's really cool. Yeah, I totally dig that. All right, cool. Their band on the hat is black. Don't want to go so far black, but it is pretty black. So, you know, what can you do? You tell, you tell me, but that looks like a black band around the head. So we're going to do some black. I'm going to use a smaller brush just so I can, because I don't want this black going everywhere. Again, black is the most stainiest of all the colors, so it's definitely going to simply want to control where it goes. Don't want it going everywhere. Especially if you get a big glop of it somewhere, then the glop is actually gonna oof like that. the glop will it will drip, and then so even if you're in one spot, one space, it'll start dripping downwards, and it'll get in her face or whatever. It's very disheartening. All right, that's our black. Let's just go back to our gray really quick, our new bluish gray, because there's just a side of her head that we forgot to get. Right here. All right, cool. One last thing to do here now is we're going to add some red to the bottom of the skirt and to the shoes. And then we're just going to put some gold on. All right, so we're just going to kind of spread some red on there, and you'll see it's, you know, it's very subtle. It's not like I just scooped red on. It's when I'm covering it with red, it's almost making it like a red shadow built into it. And that's how you get this to match the red glove. Yeah, and it gives it a nice texture. It's very cool. Okay, one last thing. I want to go back to my bright blue because there's a couple of spots. You'll find out whenever you put this stuff on. Sometimes when the paint settles, it will not cover all the areas you want covered. So I'm just making sure that there's coverage on this stuff. All right, cool. The only thing we have left to do is put some gold highlights all over her. I say it's the only thing, but it's the biggest pain in the butt. I'm actually going to try to do all this with a smaller brush. So as you can see, basically she's got trim everywhere, gold trim everywhere. So we're just going to try to put some of that on to give it the feeling of that there's gold on clothes. Again, the beauty of the gold on clothes is that it doesn't really have to be super thought out, because normally gold on steel or whatever has to be straight. It has to be mechanical. On texture, it's gonna flow with the texture, so it can kind of not be straight and still be believable because it's on, you know, it's on clothes, right? So the eye kind of figures that it's gonna be all over the place and not super straight. But if you glop it on too much, it's gonna also destroy that illusion. So you want to have a balance of getting the gold on where you want it to be, but also if you put it on too much or if you mess it up somewhere where it will distract your eye, then you definitely don't want that to happen. And it's almost like I'm dry brushing, but with a purpose. I'm only dry brushing areas that I feel would be gold, not the whole model. Like I can kind of see where there would naturally be a gold trim, like on the dress here, on this area here, you know? And so it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be everywhere. It just is, you're making an illusion that the eye is going to see sparkly stuff, and it'll say, oh yeah, that sparkly is on that seam. That makes sense that it would have some gold there. right, yeah, this definitely has gold here. Gold. These definitely have a trim. These capes, gold trimmed for sure. Just the gold. Again, if you don't have it perfectly straight, that's okay, but certain areas you do want to focus on it being straighter than not, because those areas are going to be the areas that your eye is going to be drawn to, and you'll be able to tell. Like on these cape areas, you can see how there is a surface, and if I put the gold on the surface, the eye will go, oh yeah, that's gold on the surface. But if I do that and the gold comes off the surface, then your eye will see it. It'll be drawn to it, and you definitely don't want those things to happen. So I'm ruining the model just to show you what you don't want to do. And also you want to just be careful of the brush. Sometimes the brush will kind of fray, and when the brush frays, it's going to put paint where you don't want paint. All right. Again, I don't want to, especially on this kind of trim, I don't want to have a really solid gold. I just want it to be like a dry brush, because it's really just a gold. I'm going to use a bigger brush so I can do more of a dry brush on this stuff. It's just almost like a gold texture than an actual gold line. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to. Because I love this shadow here under the cape. So if I just made that all gold, it would totally disrupt the texture of the cape. And you don't want to disrupt that stuff. So you can shine it, you can highlight it, but don't cover it. And it's tricky because it's very easy to glop on paint, and that's going to be something that doesn't look very good. What you're also looking for is areas that are non-conforming to the eye. Your eye tries to put things in an order, and if it sees something out of order, that's where your eye is going to be drawn to. So like if I have a piece of gold, if I have blue, 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 and then a piece of gold that's kind of out there in the middle of nowhere, your eye's not going to care that this gold is straight, painted on straight. Your eye's going to care that there's a color that's out of place. And it's just going to focus on that one color. So you could put a lot more effort into the detailing and stuff, but for this, we're just trying to get an effect that you can see there's a shininess on the cape, but it's not. I'm not actually painting exact lines. If I wanted to paint exact lines, I could do that, and it would take all day, but we don't have all day, and we don't want to do that. All right, one last thing. I'm just going to put a little bit on this scarf. And it's just like a dry brush. Cool. I think we're good to go there. I think there's only one last thing to do, and that's just put some gray on this rock to make it look like a rock. Because the rock is too light. All right. So that's it. We're at 1 hour, 46 minutes. We've done 4 of these figures. We've got Agatha. It was Agatha all along. There she is. I think she came out really sweet. We've got Yaroslav. And there, he's doing pretty good. Yep, he came out really good. I like his little gold cape, under cape area. So that's pretty sweet. We got Boris. Where's Boris? Here's Boris. Boris. Ooh. He's silver and red. Yep, very standard war guy. He's got some gold on the shield. I could have put gold on his cape too, but you know, we're just getting it out there. I think it's good enough. And then finally we got Sviatopolk. Yep, and there you go. There's 4 out of the 8 characters for the Rurik board game. Hopefully that gives you an idea of, you know, how to paint. All of them are going to have similar painting techniques. You're going to use gray and silver for any kind of chainmail. You're going to use gold to outline some of the clothes colors. You're going to use different ways to get the skins right, the different flesh tones. But pretty much that's it. All the others will be painted the same exact way. So I hope that helps. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. And I think we're going to end it now because I am pretty tired. Yep. So let me say have a good night, everybody. And thanks for watching. And I'll see you soon.